People always say when something feels too cheap to be true, there's always a reason. For Iqbal, a young man who had just started working in Kuala Lumpur, it began with an ad online that looked like a blessing. Apartment for rent, Block B, 600 ringgit a month, fully furnished. In a city where even a tiny room could cost twice that, it sounded like luck had finally found him. The apartment block stood like a tired skeleton from the 80s, 15 floors of beige concrete with paint peeling off, and railings stained with rust. Even during the evening, the corridors looked dim, buzzing faintly with half-dead fluorescent tubes that flickered on and off. The landlord, a small middle-aged man with eyes that never quite met his, barely spoke. He shoved the keys into Iqbal's hand, told him the unit was on the 9th floor, and walked away, as if he wanted nothing to do with the place. Unit 9-7 was near the end of a long, silent hallway. The door groaned when Iqbal turned the key. Inside was exactly as promised. Basic furniture, an old sofa, a CRT television, a bed with a single thin mattress, a ceiling fan spinning lazily overhead. It smelled faintly of dampness and dust, but he convinced himself it was nothing a little cleaning couldn't fix. For 600 ringgit a month, it was more than enough. He moved in the very next day. At first, everything seemed fine. The first 2 nights were quiet, almost too quiet. Iqbal grew up in a kampung, used to the sounds of crickets, frogs, and neighbors chatting late into the night. Here the silence felt heavier, pressing against his ears as he tried to sleep. By the 3rd night, the silence broke with a sound he couldn't explain. Footsteps in the corridor. Slow, dragging footsteps that stopped directly outside his door. He froze in bed, waiting for a knock that never came. When he finally forced himself to the peephole, the corridor stretched out empty, the flickering lights casting long shadows. The next night it happened again. Footsteps, stopping at his door. Silence. Night after night the pattern repeated, and each time he checked, there was nothing. Soon he started sleeping with the lights on. One Saturday afternoon, he decided to properly clean the bedroom. The old wooden wardrobe had been left untouched, and when he opened it, he froze. Deep scratch marks carved down the inside of the door, long and vertical, like someone had clawed to get out. At the bottom in the corner, almost hidden, was a paper talisman yellowed with age, its red ink faded to the color of dried blood. The moment he touched it, the air grew cold, and his cat, an adopted stray, arched its back, hissed, and bolted from the room. That night, the footsteps didn't stop outside. They entered. At around 3 a.m., he woke to the sound of dragging feet on the tiled floor of the living room. His heart pounded as the sound grew closer, step by step, until it reached his bedroom door. The knob rattled once, and then silence. He lay frozen, drenched in sweat, praying for dawn. From then on, everything escalated. The bathroom walls echoed with faint knocking whenever he showered. The television switched on by itself at full volume, static screaming into the night. His cat refused to step into the bedroom, instead sitting at the doorway with its fur bristling, eyes fixed on something Iqbal could not see. One night, half asleep, he felt the mattress dip beside him, as though someone had sat down. He squeezed his eyes shut and did not move until daylight. It wasn't until he met an old neighbor that he learned the truth. She lived on the same floor and had been there since the building first opened. When she asked where he stayed and he told her 9-7, Her face darkened. "You shouldn't stay there," she whispered. "Many years ago, a man hanged himself in the closet. Since then, tenants never last. Some leave after a week, some after a month. No one stays." The scratches, the talisman, everything made sense, yet it was far too late. On his final night, rain lashed against the windows, thunder shaking the thin walls. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, sleep impossible, when he heard them again. Footsteps. But this time they didn't come from the corridor. They came from inside the wardrobe. The faint scrape of fingernails dragged against wood. Then the door creaked open. From the darkness within, a voice rasped in a broken whisper. "Why? Are you in my house?" Iqbal ran. He didn't stop to look, didn't stop to breathe. Barefoot, he tore through the corridor, down 9 flights of stairs, into the storm. He never set foot in Block B again. The landlord called, but Iqbal never answered. He left everything behind, his clothes, his furniture, even his cat. Weeks later, he saw the animal wandering near a shop, adopted by someone else. To this day, he never speaks of the apartment, but those who live in Block B still whisper. Unit 9-7 is always available, always cheap, always fully furnished. And at night, tenants swear they still hear it.
Seram.